Chris, if a storm does come our way this year, the coronavirus is going to create several new issues for us, and we're going to talk about that here throughout the morning, especially when it comes to those emergency management preparations.
Yeah, you're right, Trent. One of their biggest focuses is going to be on emergency shelters, and that process is going to look a lot different this year. Jessica Alpern has that part of the story.
Fox 4 has been speaking with the emergency management teams for all of our Southwest Florida counties as they prepare for storm season amid the pandemic. The big message by far has actually been one they preach every year. Evacuating to a shelter should never be your first option. Now, more than ever, with the pandemic and need for social distancing, they say it's important that those who can safely shelter in place consider doing so. If not, have a plan to evacuate to a family or friend's home or a hotel. But for those who do ultimately have to evacuate to a shelter, a number of preparations are underway to make sure it's not only safe to weather a storm, but also the pandemic.
Normally we determine our occupancy rates of a shelter on a certain square footage. Well, that square footage is an environment where people aren't concerned about being that close to each other. So the CDC, Red Cross, even us locally, have looked at increasing that square footage, which obviously means that we have to reduce the amount of people that can be in the building. Also, there's screening measures that they suggest, encouraging face coverings, things like that, things that you're seeing out in public now in the retail setting.
Registration at shelters will be another challenge, and you should expect longer, spaced out lines to implement social distancing. Plus, allowing extra time for screening for COVID-19 symptoms. Lee County emergency leaders say they're also considering opening more shelters than they usually would.
Making sure that people have enough space to distance themselves and their families in that sheltering environment.
And when it comes to screening for the virus, he adds that the county is looking into ways to safely isolate those with symptoms. They also plan to have additional cleaning at each shelter. Charlotte County emergency leaders add that due to the pandemic, they've also been unable to do their typical public outreach at civic groups and organizations. Instead, they're relying on public service announcements and partnerships like tonight's annual hurricane special right here on Fox 4 to get this and many other messages out when it comes not only to preparing for storm season, but doing so amid the COVID-19 pandemic. So make sure you tune in tonight right here on Fox 4 to make sure you and your family have all of the information you need to stay safe. Jessica Alpern, Fox 4, in your corner.